Long before the rise of civilization, before stone cities and before man ruled the world, there was another ruler, not born of ambition, but of instinct, shaped not by tools, but by tooth and claw, a predator, a pack animal, a legend. This is the story of the dire wolf. Tonight we begin a journey into the depths of deep time, a journey that takes us back over 250,000 years, into a world that once was, a world not ruled by humans, but by giants, towering herbivores, terrifying hunters. And among them, one predator stood above the rest, not because of its size alone, but because of what it represented: survival through cooperation, dominance through unity. The dire wolf was no lone killer. It was a master of the pack. In this first part of our 5-part journey, we awaken the beast from its ancient slumber. We uncover its mysterious origins. We examine the first fossil discoveries that brought this phantom of the past into modern light. And we step into the Ice Age, where it once reigned. The story of the dire wolf begins in the Pleistocene epoch, a chapter of Earth's history that lasted from about 2.6 million years ago to around 11,700 years ago. This epoch was marked by dramatic climate swings. Glaciers advanced and retreated, ecosystems shifted, species evolved or perished. It was during the mid-Pleistocene, around 250,000 years ago, that the dire wolf, Canis dirus, Latin for fearsome dog, first emerged, but its roots stretch even deeper. To understand the dire wolf, we must first trace its lineage. It belonged to the Canidae family, the same family that includes foxes, coyotes, jackals, and gray wolves. But recent genetic studies have shown something remarkable. The dire wolf was not just a larger version of the gray wolf. It was a different branch entirely. In 2021, scientists sequenced ancient DNA from dire wolf remains, revealing that dire wolves had diverged from other canids nearly 6 million years ago. That's before humans and chimpanzees split from a common ancestor. This revelation rocked the scientific world. For decades, it was assumed that dire wolves and gray wolves shared a relatively recent ancestor, that they were evolutionary siblings. But in truth, they were distant cousins. This ancient divergence meant dire wolves evolved in isolation, adapting to their own unique ecological niche across the American continents. The Americas were their domain. From what is now Alberta, Canada, to the swamps of Florida, down through the arid highlands of Mexico, and into the plains of Peru, dire wolves thrived in diverse climates and terrains. This adaptability was key to their dominance. Whether hunting in open grasslands or stalking through snowy forests, they could adjust their strategy, their diet, their pack structure. But how do we know all this? How do we recreate the life of a creature that vanished thousands of years ago? The first hint of the dire wolf's existence came in 1854, when the paleontologist Joseph Leidy described fossil remains from the Mississippi region. But the true mother lode came later, from an unassuming patch of ground in what would become downtown Los Angeles, the Brea Tar Pits, a natural asphalt seep that has been trapping animals for over 40,000 years. Here the past is preserved in tar and bone. Over 4,000 dire wolf specimens have been recovered from these pits, more than any other predator. Skulls, jaws, teeth, leg bones, even pup remains. These remains tell us more than just what the dire wolf looked like. They tell us how it lived, how it fought, how it died. Many of the fossils show signs of healed injuries, fractures that mended, bite marks that scarred. This suggests that dire wolves, like modern wolves, cared for their injured. They fed them, protected them, ensured their survival. The dire wolf was not a mindless killer. It was a social animal, a nurturer, a parent, a protector. Let's look at the beast itself. Dire wolves were massive. An average adult stood about 2.5 feet at the shoulder and weighed between 130 to 150 pounds. That's 25% heavier than a modern gray wolf. But it wasn't just the size, it was the build. Their skulls were broader, with shorter snouts and an incredibly powerful bite force. Their teeth weren't just for slicing flesh, they could crush bones. This gave them access to marrow and minerals long after other scavengers moved on. Their limbs were shorter and sturdier. While modern wolves are built for speed and long-distance pursuit, dire wolves were tanks, more adapted for grappling and overpowering prey in close quarters. This matches the types of prey available in the Pleistocene. Massive, slow-moving megafauna. They were specialists, and that specialization, while it made them formidable, may have also sealed their fate. Born in ice, forged by hunger, raised in the shadows of giants. The dire wolf was a creature of its time and a symbol of something greater. In the vast wilderness of ancient North America, where danger lurked in every shadow and survival was earned through cunning and strength, no creature thrived alone, and none understood this better than the dire wolf. It was not a solitary beast. It was not a rogue predator lurking in isolation. It was a creature of the pack, a warrior of the tribe. Much like the wolves of today, dire wolves lived in tightly knit social groups. Fossil evidence recovered from sites like the Brea Tar Pits shows high numbers of individuals found together, suggesting coordinated hunting, cooperative living, and perhaps even structured hierarchy. But what did a dire wolf pack look like, and how did it function? Experts believe that dire wolf packs could number between 6 to 12 individuals. In harsher regions, or when prey was especially large, these numbers might have grown even more. A typical pack might consist of a dominant breeding pair, the alpha male and female, followed by their offspring and possibly extended family members. In this system, every member had a role. Youngsters would learn from watching their elders how to stalk prey silently through the underbrush, how to wait for the signal to strike, how to flank and corner. The pack hunted as a single organism, coordinated by years of experience, deep bonds, and nonverbal communication. Their prey was enormous: bison, ground sloths, even juvenile mammoths. Bringing down such giants required more than brute strength. It demanded planning, teamwork, and trust. Like modern wolves, dire wolves may have used their howls and vocalizations to communicate across long distances. But within the hunt, their signals were likely subtle. Tail movements, body posture, a quick glance. These cues allowed them to react instantly to changes in the battle. When to charge, when to fall back, when to close in for the kill. This kind of harmony doesn't emerge overnight. It takes generations of learning, adapting, and evolving together. And beyond the hunt, the packs served other vital purposes. Packs protected their young with fierce loyalty. Dens were likely hidden in remote, protected areas, dense forests, rock overhangs, or shallow caves. Females would give birth to litters of 4 to 6 pups. While the mother cared for them, other pack members hunted and brought food. They defended the den from rival predators like saber-toothed cats, short-faced bears, or even other wolves. This cooperative care increased survival rates. It meant pups had more than one guardian, and it strengthened social bonds among adults. Grooming helped maintain relationships. Play reinforced skills and hierarchy. Just like elephants, lions, and dolphins today, dire wolves likely displayed emotional intelligence. They may have mourned their dead, comforted the wounded, or refused to abandon sick members. This is not fantasy. These behaviors are well documented in modern Canis. When you find a wolf that survived a shattered leg, you know it didn't do that alone. It means the pack waited, fed it, defended it. That's a deep bond. That's community. And where there is community, there is culture. It's likely that dire wolves had complex territorial systems. Packs may have roamed over hundreds of miles, following migrating herds and seasonal food sources. They would have marked their range with scent, vocalization, and patrol. And when paths crossed, conflict wasn't guaranteed. But when it happened, it was brutal. Interest-specific conflict, fighting between packs, may have shaped the evolution of dire wolves just as much as their prey. Battles for resources, mates, territory. Fossils from La Brea reveal not only injuries from prey animals, but wounds likely inflicted by other wolves. Broken ribs, punctured skulls, evidence of claw and tooth. The pack brought safety, but it also brought responsibility, danger, and sacrifice. They moved like whispers through the wilderness. One mind, many bodies. One heart, many howls. The dire wolf did not rule alone. It ruled as a pack. And in doing so, it wrote its legacy into the frozen soil, the cracked bones, and the windswept silence of a world long gone. Long before the age of concrete cities and global empires, the earth was a raw, untamed kingdom, a land of giants, of teeth, tusks, and talons. It was the Pleistocene epoch, and in this fierce and frozen world, the dire wolf stood not alone, but among giants and rivals. Tonight on Midnight Murmurs, we journey through the dire wolf's domain, a world both magnificent and merciless. The Pleistocene epoch lasted from about 2.6 million to 11,700 years ago. It was an era marked by repeated glacial advances, massive ice sheets expanding and retreating over millennia. During this time, the dire wolf's range was vast, from the Arctic tundras of present-day Alaska to the sun-baked plains of South America. These predators adapted to a diverse range of ecosystems: forests, grasslands, mountain valleys, marshes. Each landscape held different prey, different dangers, and different rivals. The prey species were unlike anything seen today. There was bison antiquus, larger than modern bison, and a staple in the dire wolf's diet. There were camels, horses, giant ground sloths, and glyptodonts, armored relatives of armadillos the size of small cars. And yet, even with such abundant food sources, competition was fierce. The dire wolf's greatest rival was not another canine. It was Smilodon fatalis, the saber-toothed cat. Wherever prey died, danger gathered. The saber-toothed cat was built for power and ambush. It had a stocky body, immense forelimbs, and elongated upper canines that could slice through flesh with surgical precision. But what it had in raw strength, it lacked in numbers. The dire wolf had the pack. Fossil evidence from La Brea Tar Pits shows both predators frequently fought over carcasses, bite marks, claw gouges, healed wounds. These weren't rare skirmishes. They were regular bloody contests for survival. Then there was Arctodus simus, the short-faced bear. Towering at over 11 feet when standing, this bear may have been the largest terrestrial mammalian carnivore of the epoch. Though likely more of a scavenger than a hunter, its sheer size allowed it to intimidate both saber-tooths and dire wolves alike. When the short-faced bear arrived, most predators simply backed away. There was no fighting such power. Each of these species carved out its niche. The saber-tooth was an ambush assassin. The bear, a massive opportunist. The dire wolf, a master of endurance, strategy, and cooperation. But the world itself was changing. As the Ice Age neared its end, the climate warmed. Glaciers retreated, ecosystems shifted, and with this change came a new challenge, a different kind of predator. Homo sapiens. They didn't just hunt prey, they altered landscapes, burned forests, created traps, invented weapons. Every story has an ending, even those written over millennia. What brought about its downfall? Was it climate, competition, or something deeper? Something written into its very DNA? This is part 5, the beginning of the end. Roughly 13,000 years ago, the planet began to warm. The Ice Age, Earth's most recent glacial period, was ending. Temperatures climbed, glaciers retreated, entire ecosystems shifted, and with them, the world of the dire wolf began to unravel. The massive prey animals that dire wolves depended upon began to vanish. Some migrated, others were simply unable to adapt to the warming climate. A few were hunted to extinction. This sudden loss of prey created a deadly ripple effect, rippling through the food chain, reaching the top predators last, but not sparing them. A pack animal with a heavy body and high caloric needs cannot survive long in a land of scarcity. The dire wolf, once a king of the hunt, began to starve. At the same time, a new player entered the scene. Homo sapiens, humans, had arrived in the Americas, likely crossing the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia. They were tool users, fire makers, and hunters. Humans didn't just hunt the same prey, they hunted smarter. They built traps, created weapons, coordinated ambushes, and most importantly, they adapted quickly. This new predator didn't just take food, it changed the rules. Suddenly, dire wolves weren't just competing with saber-toothed cats or short-faced bears. They were up against a species that was changing the world itself. As prey vanished and rivals multiplied, the dire wolves found themselves in a deadly trap. Smaller canids like coyotes and gray wolves, with lighter bodies and more flexible diets, fared better. They could survive on rodents, rabbits, and scraps. They could run longer, adapt faster, hide deeper. The dire wolf could not.